His words carried an immense sense of determination, which fell upon the ears of the first-generation vermilion bird, causing it to fall silent. Wang Lin looked up at the sky. Flames burned in his left eye, while lightning flickered in his right. He stood there, as if holding up the heavens and earth. His voice was deep and authoritative, echoing like thunder. Revive Xun'er. Since I cannot rely on anyone else, I will do it alone. Since the ancestor couldn't take all my friends with me, I will stay and break open the heavens, taking all my friends with me to ascend to immortality. His words were like a declaration, reverberating through the world, like the sound of thunder, shaking the very earth. If leaving this world were akin to becoming an immortal, Wang Lin's words were not only about his own ascension, but also about taking everyone with him to ascend together. After a long silence, the first-generation vermilion bird sighed softly. Perhaps you were right. Very well, you passed the trial of the Tianfeng realm. I know you left the blood of the vermilion bird on a wild star in the land of falling stars to lure the Fire Sparrow clan into taking it. Your goal should be the fire origin power of the Fire Sparrow clan. Although you have awakened the vermilion bird 4 times and birthed the ethereal flame, if you can devour the origin left by the third-generation Sun Sparrow, your fire origin will greatly increase. The third-generation Sun Sparrow, though created by someone, was the most gifted individual I have ever seen in my life. Although I severely wounded him in the past, his cultivation is profound, and his character is exceptionally treacherous. He must have left behind an escape plan. Moreover, I've always suspected that he has another identity in this primordial star. However, I cannot leave this place to investigate. If you plan to target the Fire Sparrow clan, be wary of the third-generation Sun Sparrow. He may be in seclusion in the Fire Sparrow clan's holy land. If he is indeed there, I will give you something. This item contains my nether flame, and with it, even if the third-generation Sun Sparrow is there, you can preserve your life. If my guess is wrong, then this item will serve as a weapon for your defense. As the first-generation vermilion bird spoke, a 9-colored flame suddenly flashed in the center of its forehead. It spun and coalesced into a piece of 9-colored feathers, slowly flying towards Wang Lin. The third-generation Sun Sparrow has one of our vermilion bird clan's greatest treasures. The method to control it is unknown to him. I will teach you this method, and if you have the strength to take it back, the treasure will be yours. As Wang Lin caught the 9-colored feather, a complex incantation entered his soul, deeply embedding itself within. Leave the Fire Sparrow clan members behind. They are of great use to me. I will help you make the vermilion bird blood on that wild star more authentic. Except for the third generation, no one will be able to see through it. You may go now. The voice of the first-generation vermilion bird grew fainter and eventually disappeared. Its statue slowly lost its vitality and turned into a lifeless object. Wang Lin stood silently before the statue of the first-generation vermilion bird for a long moment. He then deeply bowed before turning and walking towards the horizon, his figure gradually vanishing. Outside the Emperor Star, the Tianfeng incense continued to burn, seemingly eternal, with no end in sight. Time passed slowly, one breath after another. Since the incense began burning, 23 breaths had already passed. Although Wang Lin's conversation with the first-generation vermilion bird was lengthy, due to the bird's interference, it only seemed to last a few breaths to those outside. 24 breaths. 25 breaths. The cultivators observing from around began to show signs of shock. Simaja furrowed his brow, a fleeting flash of hostility appearing in his eyes. Grand Diviner Yun Luo formed a seal with his right hand, turning into a phantom, his eyes fixed on the scene. Only the old vermilion bird's expression remained grim. He vaguely suspected the ancestors' intentions. This trial was a test of identity. 26 breaths. 27 breaths. 27 breaths. This third young emperor has extended the Tianfeng incense for such a long time. Look at this person's physical body. Just moments ago, it was on the brink of life and death, but now it has settled. The surrounding cultivators began murmuring among themselves. With each passing breath, their minds were shaken. Just then, the Tianfeng incense's fire suddenly intensified, roaring upwards and almost lighting up half the sky. In that instant, the flames surged towards the remaining half of the Tianfeng incense below, and within moments, it burned out rapidly. This sudden change immediately caught the attention of all the surrounding cultivators. Even the old vermilion bird's gaze flickered as he focused on the scene. In the blink of an eye, the Tianfeng incense was burning out under the flames, quickly nearing Wang Lin, who stood below, his eyes closed. At this moment, Wang Lin's soul had not yet returned. If he didn't return before the incense burned out, even if he succeeded in the trial, it would still appear to the surrounding cultivators that he had failed. Everything unfolded in a flash. As the Tianfang incense burned rapidly, a formless force seemed to raise the spirits of all the surrounding cultivators. In their eyes, they saw the Tianfang incense flames roaring, engulfing Wang Lin in an instant. In that fire, the Tianfang incense was completely burned out. He hasn't come out. The third young emperor's soul hasn't returned. Did he fail? I told you this trial was extremely difficult. This person was bound to fail. How formidable his cultivation may be, it's no different from failing in this trial. Let's see how the first young emperor will save him. The surroundings erupted in an uproar. Simaja, deeply inhaling, was just starting to show joy in his eyes, but suddenly, his gaze froze, and the joy collapsed, replaced by an endless gloom. Grand Diviner Yun Luo's right hand, forming a gesture, was stained with blood, disrupted again, not by some mysterious power from the heavens, but by two cold, indifferent gazes piercing through the thick flames from the burnt Tianfang incense. These two gazes, like fire and thunder, shook the heavens and earth the instant they appeared. Within the flames, a shadow slowly emerged. This shadow stepped out of the fire, revealing itself to the gazes of all the cultivators present. Wang Lin's expression was grim as he stepped forward. At the moment the Tianfang incense burned out, his soul returned to his body. Once his soul re-entered his body, the flames no longer seemed significant in his eyes. Under the astonished gazes of tens of thousands of cultivators, Wang Lin raised his right hand with a wave, causing the flames behind him to suddenly surge with a loud bang, transforming into a river of fire. It swirled upward, finally wrapping around Wang Lin's right hand. As Wang Lin clenched his fist, the flames exploded with a bang, scattering countless sparks in all directions. The sparks, like fireflies, spread across the heavens and earth, with Wang Lin at the center. From a distance, it appeared as though sparks of stars were drifting in every direction. Amidst the dazzling display of star-like embers, Wang Lin's left eye swirled with 9 colored flames, transforming into an ethereal fire, while his right eye glowed with a thunder diagram, surrounded by 9 thunderbolts. With lightning flickering endlessly in his pupils. His clothes danced in the wind, his long hair swirling without a breeze. His gaze swept over the surrounding cultivators. In that moment, Wang Lin seemed like a fusion of both immortal and demonic forces, radiating an indescribable aura that spread out explosively. His injuries healed instantly, and as his soul re-entered his body, the flames within his soul ignited, condensing boundless power within him. Under his gaze, every cultivator who met his eyes felt a shock deep in their soul. They were immediately overwhelmed with an immense wave of terror, as if their bodies were being burned by the flames. The more their spirits trembled, the fiercer the flames grew, and in the blink of an eye, the fire could incinerate them into ash. But that wasn't all. What was even more shocking was that the soul and consciousness of anyone who met Wang Lin's gaze seemed to no longer belong to them. In an instant, they felt as if they were inside a massive thunder diagram, with 9 different thunderbolts rumbling and spinning around them, as if their essence and soul would be completely destroyed by the thunder. This sensation lasted only a moment, fading as soon as Wang Lin's gaze moved away. However, it was deeply imprinted on their minds, a terrifying experience they would never forget. Wang Lin's reputation began to be established. With a mere sweep of his gaze, tens of thousands of cultivators around him felt their hearts roar. Their expressions changed drastically as they trembled in fear, lowering their heads, unable to meet Wang Lin's eyes. Especially those who had previously disrespected Wang Lin, those who had spoken ill of him. Their faces turned pale, their spirits shaking. They felt an intense clarity, as if the slightest movement of Wang Lin's will would turn their bodies to ash, their souls obliterated by thunder. Wang Lin's gaze passed over these cultivators, and no matter their cultivation level, to him, each of them had an illusory flame burning within them. The further their emotions drifted, the fiercer the flames grew. A powerful force flooded Wang Lin's heart and mind. A killing intent flickered in his eyes. He raised both hands and swung them fiercely, causing the heavens and earth to tremble. Suddenly, a wave of illusory fire appeared on the bodies of the tens of thousands of cultivators. As soon as it appeared, it emitted a terrifying heat, causing them all to panic. In an instant, the illusory fire inside their bodies erupted, as if it had been sucked out, flying toward Wang Lin, who stood atop the giant turtle in the arena. This sight was truly astonishing. The surrounding illusory flames surged like smoke tendrils, forming a massive vortex that Wang Lin swiftly absorbed, wrapping the firestorm around his body, creating an immense vortex of illusory flames. The storm spun rapidly, whipping up fierce winds, pushing the cultivators back, some of them being sent flying thousands of meters away. This is gathering external illusory fire. The old vermilion bird's eyes widened in shock. Grand Diviner Yunluo's face turned pale, her mind in turmoil. At this moment, Wang Lin, if there were a pearl and a needle floating in front of him, looked exactly like the person from the vision she had just seen. Wang Lin, surrounded by the illusory firestorm, floated into the air, looking down with a gaze like a torch. He bypassed Yunluo and directly fixed his cold, frost-filled gaze on Sima. Sima, weren't you going to kill me? Here's your chance, come. Wang Lin extended his right hand and beckoned to Sima in midair. A challenge to a third-step great power. Since ancient times, for cultivators at the second step, a third-step great power is like a god, an existence beyond defeat. Such figures are nearly invincible. Unless they fall at the hands of another third step, it is impossible for them to be defeated by anyone at the second step. This is like an unspoken law, woven into the fabric of heaven and earth, carved deep into every cultivator's heart and soul. A third-step great power, unbeatable. In front of them, all other cultivators are like ants. Don't be fooled by how Sima was humiliated by the old vermilion bird. Anywhere else, whether within this realm or beyond, if Sima merely stamped his foot, it could bring about a cataclysm. Though he was only at the first stage of the void nirvana realm, the early phase of the fourth realm of void within the third step, to all second-step cultivators, Sima was still nothing less than a god. But right now, what no one among the tens of thousands of cultivators here had expected, what struck their hearts like thunder and left them staring in disbelief, was a single sentence that echoed like a storm across Emperor Star. He actually dares to challenge a third-step great power. This third young emperor may be unfathomably strong, but compared to a true third-step great power, the gap is massive. A challenging one now is pure foolishness. Especially since he just endured the trial. He's likely still injured inside, yet he shamelessly dares to claim he'll battle a third-step great power? Laughable. Utterly laughable. I wouldn't be so sure. Though his cultivation can't compare to a third-step great power, the way he harnessed every moment of the trial has pushed his momentum to its peak. If he doesn't fight now, the chance will be wasted completely. Humph. Regardless, how could someone like us ever hope to challenge the third step? If you ask me, Sima only needs a single divine art to make this third young emperor taste the price of arrogance. Yet for this alone, I rather respect this third young emperor. Success or not, he dared to say it, dared to do it. Throughout time, how many have had the courage? You scoff at him here, but would any of you dare stand where he stands and challenge like this? Among the tens of thousands of cultivators, nearly all had spoken against Wang Lin at first. But after that series of trials, in this challenge now, a part of the crowd found themselves speaking of him with respect. And Wang Lin's final word, come, carried a boundless confidence. Grand Diviner Yunluo was shaken too. She hadn't expected him to dare challenge Sima. In her mind, Wang Lin's figure was overlapping with that terrifying silhouette she'd seen, so much so that for a moment, she couldn't even tell them apart. The old vermilion bird's face showed a smug smile. This was exactly the outcome he wanted, to make his junior do something that everyone else thought impossible. The third step may be powerful, but those few slaps I gave weren't in vain. The old vermilion bird's eyes gleamed as he looked at Sima. Sima fixed his eyes on Wang Lin. In an instant, his gaze turned crystal clear. Neither joy nor sorrow showed on his face, only a cold indifference that spread through his entire being. He seemed like a different person altogether. A mighty aura slowly flowed from within him, twisting the very heavens and earth around him. Amid the distortion, countless illusory souls faintly appeared, each one twisted in agony, their silent, shrieking howls echoing across Emperor Star. You think defeating my clone means you can challenge the third step? Since you wish to die, I'll grant you your wish. Sima's voice was calm as he stepped forward. In an instant, he shot toward Wang Lin like a streak of light. All around, cultivators stared wide-eyed, so tense they seemed to forget to breathe. They locked their gaze on this scene, a rare sight they might never witness again in their entire lives, when a third-step great power made a move. Not annihilations of heaven. Sima's voice rose like thunder. In a heartbeat, he closed the distance to less than 100 feet from Wang Lin. His eyes showed no killing intent or coldness as he calmly raised his right hand and swept it forward. First annihilation, heaven. At that sweep, the entire sky shuddered violently. Countless cracks ripped open as if torn by sheer force, turning into hideous scars hurtling straight at Wang Lin. Under the twisting sky, the cracks multiplied. Second annihilation, Earth. Xun'er spoke again. The ground roared. Shocked, the surrounding cultivators stumbled back even farther. Around the giant turtle, the earth shook as if alive. Suddenly, countless mountains burst forth, towering sky-high, only to shatter at the base and shoot up, crashing straight toward Wang Lin. Now, with the sky's rifts and the earth's mountains closing in, Wang Lin faced an onslaught from above and below. Threefold annihilation, life. Xun'er's calm eyes suddenly flashed. As his right hand swept through the air, a frigid wind burst into existence out of nowhere, rushing straight toward Wang Lin. This cold wind closely resembled Wang Lin's own wind-summoning art. It was a gust that extinguished all flames of vitality. Everything unfolded in the blink of an eye. Xun'er's strike was no ordinary blow, but a manifestation of a great divine art, one driven by a killing intent so absolute, he would settle for nothing less than Wang Lin's death. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. At the instant the threefold annihilation, heaven, earth, and life, descended upon him, the void flame storm around his body suddenly roared into a violent spin. Void flame of 9 colors, by my name, manifest, flame spirit, descend upon this world. Wang Lin formed a complex seal with both hands and hurled it outward from within the churning storm. Immediately, an earth-shattering roar erupted. Within that roar, the frenzied cries of dragons echoed wildly through the air. From the storm surged forth a colossal dragon head, visible to the naked eye, forged from fire. This dragon was entirely crimson. With a low roar, it lunged upward, charging straight into the rifts that tore through the sky above. Crimson fire flooded those fissures in an instant, filling them entirely. The heavens looked twisted, ferocious, and grotesque. Then, from within the storm, a second dragon burst out, a blazing orange flame dragon shrieking as it plunged downward toward the peaks below. Thousands of feet in length, it coiled and twisted. As it passed, entire mountains were engulfed in flame. Next came a furious chorus of roars as 1, 2, 3, all the way to 7 black flame dragons surged from the storm. 9 dragons in total, the storm dissipated. Wang Lin stood tall between heaven and earth, encircled by all 9 flame dragons. In his left eye, a whirl of 9-colored fire blazed, spinning furiously. It was a scene of staggering power. An awe-inspiring momentum exploded from Wang Lin's body, rumbling outwards. The tens of thousands of cultivators who had retreated to a distance were utterly shaken. Wang Lin's figure, wreathed in divine flame and dragon might, was burned into their hearts, never to be forgotten. 4th annihilation, burial. 5th time. 6th the void. 7th primordial chaos. 8th reincarnation. 9th heavenbreaker. Xun'er's expression remained unchanged, no trace of anger or killing intent. His heart and mind were calm as still water. When facing an illusory flame cultivator, the heart was paramount. Let your emotions stir, even slightly, and the foe's illusory fire would take hold. With each word he spoke, Xun'er stepped forward once, his approach relentless. At the moment his voice rang out, boundless illusory shadows began to form around him. First came a ghostly graveyard. An endless field of phantom tombs emerged and spread, drowning the world in deathly stillness. Then, time itself began to ripple and distort beneath his feet, flowing in iridescent waves. With each step, the flow of time warped, as if the years themselves obeyed his stride. Next, a dense veil of void descended, swallowing the tombs and shrouding Xun'er's figure in a haze. Through that haze radiated a sense of ancient sorrow, manifesting into a vision of reincarnation. Step by step, he approached Wang Lin, less than 30 feet away. When he spoke the final 2 words, Heavenbreaker, he stepped forward once more. In that instant, he appeared just 10 feet from Wang Lin. His right hand lifted and came crashing down toward Wang Lin with unstoppable force. 9 annihilations of void, 9 steps to annihilate heaven. The heavens roared. At the moment his palm descended, all the illusory shadows behind Xun'er collapsed into streams of shattered light. They surged like celestial rivers into his right hand, absorbed completely. The palm strike neared. It all happened in an instant. Wang Lin's eyes flashed. His right hand extended, 2 fingers forming a sword. At the exact moment Xun'er's palm approached, Wang Lin struck forward. The 9 flame dragons circling his body roared as they spiraled around his fingers, then charged directly at Xun'er. From a distance, it was a sight that shook the heavens. Xun'er's palm carried the might to shatter the skies, drawing on the full momentum of the 9-fold annihilation to unleash a 3rd-step divine art. 1 palm to destroy all. Wang Lin's fingers, wreathed in dragon heads, looked like the fused form of a dragon-bodied sword. 9 dragons roaring, cloaked in divine flame. In a flash, Wang Lin's two fingers collided with Si Maja's descending palm, heaven-breaking force clashing with the world-scorching power of illusory flame. It was a collision of rules. A battle of divine laws. Boom, 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 boom. Explosions echoed like the end of the world, rippling outward across the Emperor Star and far beyond. Thousands of cultivators nearby were caught in the shockwave. Nearly 10,000 spat blood on the spot, ears ringing, spirits injured, bodies hurled backward in panic. Amid the thunderous blast, Wang Lin staggered back, retreating over 100 feet. His face flushed red with some strange light. He lifted his head sharply, his gaze now icy cold. Third step, truly terrifying. Si Maja's palm trembled. He clearly felt a surge of flame rebounding against him. Even with his heaven-breaking strike, he had failed to extinguish that fire. For the first time, the serenity in his expression wavered. A flicker of shock appeared in his eyes. But in the instant that faint trace of shock appeared, a sharp glint flashed across Wang Lin's eyes. His right hand suddenly lifted, pointing straight at Si Maja. Illusory flame ignition. All emotions were the seeds that fueled the illusory flame. In battle against an illusory flame cultivator, one could never allow a fluctuation of feeling. Si Maja, as a third-step great power, not only possessed profound cultivation but had mastered the art of controlling his emotions to an extraordinary degree. If he did not wish to feel anger, then anger would never arise. If he chose to remain unmoved, every feeling would be as still as dead water. And yet now, Si Maja showed a flicker of shock, a ripple of emotion that by all rights should have been impossible, but it happened all the same. He had no time to ponder why. In the instant his astonishment appeared, illusory flame erupted from within his body. It burst outward in a deafening blaze, surging through his flesh until it poured out into the open. From a distance, it seemed a pillar of flame had consumed him entirely, and his expression changed at once. As his face contorted, his emotions wavered again. The illusory flame roared higher in response. The old vermilion bird watched this scene, the corners of his mouth curling in a nearly imperceptible sinister smile. Inwardly he thought, those few slaps of mine were never just punishment. I planted the seed of illusory flame within you. Otherwise, to battle a third-step great power would have been far too difficult. Little one, let's see if you can seize this chance. Wang Lin had fought countless life and death battles. He had walked the edge of survival and would never waste an opportunity. Seeing the illusory flame surging from Si Maja's body, his eyes flashed with a cold light. Forcing down the injuries he'd suffered from the 9 annihilations of void, he formed seals with both hands, then thrust his fingers forward with fierce determination. A grimace twisted Wang Lin's face. As he pointed, 9 colored flames erupted from the pupil of his left eye, shooting forth in a blaze that transformed into illusory flame, hurtling straight toward Si Maja. This illusory flame alone is not enough. Heaven and earth illusory flame, gather to me. He strode forward, sweeping his great sleeve. A raging wind howled across the heavens, surging toward the tens of thousands of cultivators watching the battle. The wind carried a scorching heat. As it swept over the onlookers, their violently stirred emotions spontaneously ignited illusory flames within them. These flames did not burn them alive. In the very instant they arose, each transformed within its host into a colossal illusory flame dragon. In the blink of an eye, tens of thousands of flame dragons erupted from within the cultivators, their roars echoing across the sky. There were precisely 36,793 illusory flame dragons. From afar, the sight was staggering. Wang Lin no longer seemed to be fighting Si Maja alone, but had summoned the emotions of all those present to battle alongside him. Throughout the entire cultivation world, only Wang Lin could achieve this. Not even the 4th-generation vermilion bird, nor the 2nd-generation vermilion bird, could reach such a feat. Their illusory flames, though powerful, had limits. They could only be released outward, never absorbed and gathered. But Wang Lin's illusory flame contained the heaven-defying primordial magnetic force. As he absorbed the surrounding flames, heaven and earth thundered. Tens of thousands of illusory flame dragons were swept up in his sleeve, all surging straight for Si Maja. At their head were the 9 illusory flame dragons born from Wang Lin's left eye. Behind them, the countless dragons merged into a cataclysmic illusory flame storm, unleashing an earth-shattering force upon the Emperor Star. All of this happened in a heartbeat. Almost the moment illusory flame erupted within Si Maja's body, the boundless torrent struck him, unstoppable, and poured straight into him. Si Maja's face turned deathly pale. He staggered backward, horror flashing in his eyes, but he forcibly suppressed it, sealing his emotions in iron control. Still not enough. Wang Lin's eyes gleamed with icy resolve. Advancing, he suddenly shouted, "Simaja, do you still remember the Breaking Heaven sect?" Simaja's body jolted. His eyes showed a struggle he strained to bury. "Simaja, do you remember your second and third junior brothers, and the 16th disciple you cast out of your cave abode?" Simaja's face went ashen, his body swaying. "Simaja, do you recognize this?" Wang Lin thrust his hand forward, tearing open a rift in his storage dimension. From within, he drew out a jade token. This jade token was none other than the sect identification of Sima Imo, of the Breaking Heaven sect. Simaja's eyes brimmed with turmoil on the verge of collapse. "Simaja, do you recognize this one?" With a flick of Wang Lin's hand, a palm-sized beast bone appeared in his grasp. This was the very object at the root of Sima Mo's expulsion from the Breaking Heaven sect. Enough. Simaja's face drained of all color. His eyes went bloodshot, his expression twisted with rage, and he roared furiously at Wang Lin. "Should I call you Simozi or Sima Imo?" Wang Lin's final words rang out like a thunderclap, causing Simozi's entire body to burst into illusory flame. The fire raged, burning everything in its path. Within moments, the sound of violent thuds echoed from within Simozi's body. A surge of madness erupted from his eyes. He stopped retreating, letting the illusory flame burn through him. His face twisted, and from within his body, a rainbow-colored light flickered, especially the violet hue, which almost overwhelmed the other 6 colors. "I am not Sima Imo. My Dao title is Simozi." Simozi, his body engulfed in illusory flame, spat out a mouthful of blood. The blood immediately turned to ash upon contact with the air. He glared at Wang Lin, his eyes filled with murderous intent. His right hand shot out, grasping at the void, and he let out a roar that reverberated through the heavens. The sky darkened in an instant as Simozi tore open a massive rift in space with his grasp. The rift was enormous, and as it appeared, all the cultivators nearby clearly saw that within it, there seemed to be another world. Inside the rift, countless cultivation stars shimmered, and on each star, countless beings knelt in worship. The power of devotional incense flowed out in waves. "Open. Let me refine the realm of devotional power. Let my disciples' souls appear." Simozi swung his sleeve, and immediately, countless beings on the cultivation stars began to chant in unison. Their voices merged into a chant, which thundered out of the rift like a spell. As the chant resounded, numerous illusory souls suddenly appeared around Simozi. These souls materialized in vast waves, quickly filling the entire world. Looking at them, these souls stretched infinitely, covering the sky and earth, their numbers staggering and impossible to count. Even more souls were still emerging from the rift. Each of these souls had a look of fanaticism in their eyes, and thick incense smoke emanated from them, shaking the heavens and earth. Devotional power divine ability. The divine ability exclusive to third step great powers. Under the devotional power divine ability, all living beings will perish. Tens of thousands of cultivators around them gasped and quickly retreated, not daring to approach. The old vermilion bird's eyes flashed as he stared at Simozi, his expression showing no sign of emotion. "My disciples, all of you, bow before me," Simozi roared. Instantly, the countless illusory souls of devotional incense in the sky all bowed simultaneously before Simozi. At the moment of their bowing, the heavens and earth shook with an overwhelming gust of devotional wind, which appeared as purple and rushed towards Simozi. The force of it swept through everything, and as it did, Simozi's burning illusory flame flickered, dimming dramatically, with much of it extinguishing. In the blink of an eye, the illusory flame on Simozi's body completely dissipated, leaving no trace behind. However, the countless souls of devotional incense began to blur, as though the force of the bow had drained much of their strength. This scene was so astounding that Wang Lin's expression instantly changed. "So, this is the third step. Just like Water Path Master's third step, even illusory flame can be extinguished by his devotional power. Could he truly be invincible?" Wang Lin's eyes filled with unwillingness, his gaze sharp, his heart roaring. "Third step? So what?" At that moment, Simozi suddenly turned around, his eyes cold as he locked onto Wang Lin. He growled, "I have endless disciples, all empowered by devotional incense. This incense can only be offered to me. If you have not reached the third step, you will not withstand the force of this countless disciples' bow. You seek death, and I will grant it to you thoroughly. Devotional disciples, bow and burn incense for him." Simozi raised a finger at Wang Lin. As soon as he pointed, all the countless devotional incense souls turned to face Wang Lin. Under the intense gaze of these countless souls, even Wang Lin felt an immense pressure. "Burn incense and bow." See Mosey's voice boomed. In an instant, all the countless devotional incense souls bowed toward Wang Lin. The force of their bow sent a violet wind howling through the sky, rushing toward Wang Lin. Immediately, Wang Lin felt an overwhelming force, a force that came from the heavens and the earth, compressing him from all directions, causing excruciating pain. A tearing sensation erupted within him, as though his entire body were being ripped apart. Wang Lin's expression changed violently. He had nowhere to retreat. This force came from the world itself, and there was no place to hide. Let's see how you can withstand the bow of my devotional disciples. You dare challenge me before reaching the third step? You're overestimating yourself. See Mosey's eyes blazed with purple light, and his entire body seemed to glow with violet radiance. Yet beneath this purple glow, in the center of his forehead, a tiny speck, no larger than a fingernail, flickered with faint fireflies. The firefly, within Wang Lin's gaze, clearly revealed a small figure seated cross-legged, identical to Xun'er. The small figure's face was contorted in pain, and 2 lines of tears streamed down. Save me. Faintly, just as the purple wind swept in, Wang Lin seemed to hear a weak voice coming from the firefly at the center of Xun'er's brow. This disciple of Xun'er's devotional power sect has so many followers. The old vermilion bird's expression shifted, and with a slight sway of his body, he moved forward to take action. But just as his foot stepped forward, Wang Lin's voice echoed through the heavens and earth. Ancestor, I can handle it. If no one were killed, the opponent wouldn't make things too difficult. After all, behind Xun'er was the Council of Elders, and he was a figure of the Palm Sovereign. Right now, by offering this incense bow, Xun'er intended to strip Wang Lin of his ability to resist, forcing him to retreat, heavily wounded. This way, no one could say anything, and he could naturally leave unscathed. The boundless soul power of the incense worship surged, transforming into a purple whirlwind that swept across the world, charging directly toward Wang Lin from all directions. Looking at it, the entire world turned purple, as if tainted by demonic influence. This power of devotional power was an astonishing divine ability, capable of obliterating a cultivator in the 5th decay of heaven and man. Yet Wang Lin had mastered the thunder origin, and his flame origin had reached the realm of illusory flame. Though he knew the danger, he felt no fear. On the contrary, the battle intent in his eyes erupted fiercely. To be exact, this was the first time Wang Lin faced off against a third-step great power. Previously, with Water Path Master, Wang Lin could only passively defend, unable to strike back. But now, after days spent under the ancient star of antiquity, his cultivation had made tremendous progress. From mere defense to the ability to fight back. As the purple whirlwind approached with a deafening roar, just before it reached Wang Lin, his right eye flashed with lightning, and he stepped back. His right hand raised, and suddenly he swung outward. Open, primordial thunder realm. The sky trembled, and above the heavens, the purple whirlwind-covered sky split open under Wang Lin's action, revealing a massive rift. The rift was 1,000 feet long, and as it appeared, it seemed to tear through the purple haze, showing itself in front of Wang Lin. Within the rift, thunder rumbled, emitting an ancient and desolate aura. Inside, the roars of the primordial thunder dragons echoed through the heavens. Amidst the flashing lightning, the massive form of a primordial thunder dragon emerged. Thunder, stretching tens of thousands of feet, surged from the rift, ravaging the purple whirlwind. All of this happened in an instant, so fast it was almost unbelievable. After Wang Lin tore open the primordial thunder realm, the lightning diagram in his right eye flashed, and with a roar, it shot out, heading straight for the rift. At the same time, a thunderous roar from the rift drowned out all other thunder sounds. A giant primordial thunder dragon's head shot out from the rift, roaring as its colossal body charged through the rift, straight toward the lightning diagram. In the blink of an eye, this primordial thunder dragon merged with one of the 9 accompanying thunders, significantly enhancing its power. The battle didn't stop there. In the next instant, more primordial thunder dragons surged from the rift, moving with incredible speed. As the purple whirlwind approached, they fused with all the accompanying thunder. With the primordial thunder realm as the base for my lightning diagram, and the 9 primordial thunder dragons merging with my companion thunder soul, I will display the ultimate power of heaven and earth's thunder. Wang Lin's voice echoed across the heavens and earth. His long hair flew in the wind as his right hand pointed forward. Wang Lin's greatest divine ability, aside from fire, was his fully developed thunder origin. Especially after absorbing the indestructible thunder from the Lightning Thunder Clan and searching through the memories of their great elder, Wang Lin's mastery of thunder was unparalleled. Without this, how could he have used his thunder origin to manifest the heavenly void gate and even open a slight crack? As his finger pointed forward, the 9 accompanying thunders merged with the primordial thunder dragons and began to spin rapidly, encircling the rift. The ensuing thunderstorm clashed with the incoming purple whirlwind in a battle that shook the world. From afar, the rift looked like a shape of thunder, especially with endless lightning racing through it, making it even more vivid. The 9 accompanying thunders, transforming into a thunderstorm, shook the heavens and earth. The purple whirlwind turned into a violet storm that swept across the world. With a flick of Xun'er's sleeve, in the incantation of endless incense worship, it roared toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's thunderstorm, with the 9 primordial thunder dragons spinning, called forth endless lightning. Through the primordial thunder realm, the ancient power of thunder swept through the world. Boom, boom, boom. The clash between the 2 storms made the Emperor's star tremble violently. Under the indescribable shockwave, the earth seemed to be swept by an invisible hand, and the giant turtle below let out a mournful cry, its body shaking before collapsing with a mighty crash. The collapse of the giant turtle instantly triggered a disintegration of the arena, sending many observing cultivators sprawling as they spewed blood and were violently thrown back. The thunderstorm erupted with a thunderous boom, transforming into countless bolts of lightning that surged in all directions. The 9 accompanying thunders were drawn back, and even the ancient rift in the sky began to twist as if it were about to vanish. The purple storm rumbled violently, collapsing under Wang Lin's thunder origin, with countless worship souls being swept away in the resulting shockwave, immediately dissipating in large swathes. It was as if an invisible hand was sweeping across the realm, erasing these worship souls one by one from the sky. Xun'er's clothing billowed, his eyes glinting with brilliance. As the shockwave hit, he took a step back, raised his hands with a flourish, and shouted, "I have endless worship souls, and if you destroy these, there are countless more. From within the realm of devotional power, my disciple shall emerge." In response to his roar, a surge of more worship souls suddenly erupted from the enormous rift behind Xun'er. Wang Lin felt blood trickling from the corner of his mouth, his complexion pale as he stumbled backward. But the moment he retreated, he suddenly looked up, revealing an overwhelming fighting spirit in his eyes. He abruptly stopped his retreat, taking a step forward, moving like a shooting star. As he advanced, his right hand lifted, revealing a withered yellow leaf. In the instant the leaf appeared, an ancient star mark manifested at his brow, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. This blood was ancient god blood. As the blood fell onto the withered leaf, it immediately radiated a crimson light. With a flick of his wrist, this leaf, now enveloped in red light, shot towards Xun'er. Its speed was indescribable, rapidly closing the distance. Its size grew dramatically, as if it expanded with the wind, instantly transforming into hundreds, thousands, even tens of thousands of feet. The ancient breath leaf, one of the precious treasures obtained by the greedy wolf from the ancient burial ground, its origins were shrouded in mystery. Even the greedy wolf, with his cultivation, could seal Wang Lin's ability to break through with this treasure, forcing him to dodge instead. Now, as Wang Lin wielded it, being an ancient god and using ancient god blood as nourishment, his control over it was flawless, and its power was countless times greater than in greedy wolf's hands. A single leaf covering the sky. The ancient breath leaf suddenly passed through beside Xun'er, appearing outside his realm of devotional power and swiftly pressing against it. "Seal it. Seal. Seal." Wang Lin's voice echoed. The light from the ancient breath leaf flickered rapidly, like a sealing rune, and with a boom, it slapped against the rift in Xun'er's realm of devotional power, unleashing an overwhelmingly powerful sealing force. Under the seal of the ancient breath leaf, that realm of devotional power trembled violently, and not a single worship soul within it could escape. This sudden change left Xun'er astounded, his eyes wide with disbelief. In his lifetime of cultivation, he had never heard of a treasure capable of sealing the realm of a third-step cultivator. What kind of treasure is this? Not only was Xun'er shocked, but even the old vermilion bird's pupils constricted in disbelief. This little fellow has such a treasure on him. The Grand Diviner Yun Luo's complexion grew even paler, her fear evident and impossible to conceal. She unconsciously took several steps back, vividly recalling a scene she had witnessed in which this very person waved his hand, causing 99 identical leaves to appear, sealing the heavens and utterly nullifying the devastating techniques unleashed by the many cultivators of the ancient stars. Wang Lin's eyes turned crimson. After sealing Xun'er's realm with the ancient breath leaf, he didn't pause for even a moment, striding towards Xun'er. "Ancient demon soul, come forth." In an instant, Wang Lin closed in on Si Maja by 100 feet. With a low roar, a swirl of black mist erupted from his chest, and the moment it appeared, the demonic energy surged forth. It transformed into a small figure identical to Wang Lin, the ancient demon soul. As this figure emerged, it let out a piercing shriek, and swirling demonic energy enveloped it. Suddenly, a long spear materialized, existing in both reality and illusion, and it shot forward, aimed straight at Si Maja. A cold glint flickered in Si Maja's eyes, but just as his killing intent surged, ethereal flames began to ignite within him. Ignoring the ethereal fire, Si Maja took a step forward, raising his right hand, which sparkled with purple light. Once, for my achievements before the Palm Sovereign, I was granted the purple origin Tao amidst the 7 colors. This purple path is linked to the beginning of madness. With your mere treasure, if it has any spirit, it will be driven mad under my purple path. Si Maja's right hand swept forward as if grasping all things purple in existence. A thunderous roar erupted, and purple mist surged, closing in on Wang Lin's ancient demon soul. The ancient demon soul's eyes suddenly revealed a look of excitement. It let out sharp howls, not waiting for the purple mist to fully arrive. It charged forward, opened its mouth wide, and took a deep breath. The excitement in its eyes intensified. As the leader of the demonic beings in the world, the ancient demon, being a demon, was never afraid of this maddening feeling. The more it became delirious, the stronger its demonic nature grew. At this moment, after devouring a portion of the purple mist, the ancient demon soul's eyes immediately turned blood red. With even greater speed, it pierced through the mist and charged straight toward Si Maja. Having recently fought a battle against illness, sustaining injuries, it was now in seclusion, slowly healing while watching the stars compete in brilliance, quietly focusing on its own self-cultivation. Though in seclusion, there would always be a day to emerge. Now, incense is needed to help me slay this small illness demon and restore my strength in adversity. Though the incense may be poisonous, so be it. Poison can be countered with poison.